Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF 44 coming at you another video. All right, so let's talk about how we're feeling this morning. First of all, hey, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. I want to thank you all for checking me out as you always do. I really appreciate all the support I've ever gotten on this channel. It's just awesome that I've had such an amazing support system as it pertains to folks just being consistent in liking the videos, checking them out, staying subscribed for a long period of time. I just appreciate it because I know that I'm not a professional. I know that I could be a little silly at times with certain things, but I really, really appreciate having a voice, and I pray a great deal about my voice having some good reverberating effects on others, and so on and so forth. So when times are real difficult like they are at this time, you love the fact that you have people showing you that they're listening to you, that they hear you, that they know that you are in the world. Because for me, I've been alone for a while, and it's just one of those situations where you can psych yourself into believing that your confidence shouldn't be as high just from being alone and letting your own mind run wild. So yeah, thank you guys for the support. So this morning I wake up, and I guess I could tell you how it went last night. Last night was pretty good, man. I finally got myself up and found that energy that I was telling you guys that I needed people to help me pray for all of us getting energy and all that other stuff. I found the energy necessary to do my squat regimen yesterday, and added even another set to it. Got all the way up to 100, my 100 set. Well, hard to explain, but if you guys know what I'm talking about, I added another set to it, and that set is a set of 100. So that was cool, to get my career high, because it spoke to what it is that was given to me. Because a couple hours before that, I was telling you guys that I had felt weak. I could only eat like a meal over the last 2 days, 2 meals or whatever. And it just wasn't happening when I tried to work out. The body wasn't having no responses to it that I was appreciative of. So it was like, one thing that I've been intent on is not letting my body get out of control in terms of my stress and my workout regimen and all the different things I'm willing to do for myself that way, because I've built a lot and all that. So when it's given the fact that I have an original mindset of sit down and do nothing, and my metabolism wasn't good growing up, I have this idea that I can't stop working out for 5 minutes and my body is going to start heading in a different direction, which is something that I've tested many times and it's true. So I try to just stay as disciplined as possible and stay as hungry for working out, and just intent on keeping myself as best as I can in that way as possible. And so at this point, it's like, all right, last night I'm thinking to myself, looks like my body was going to respond to the stress rather than respond the way that my mind was. And that ain't what ended up happening. I ended up having the ability to get myself up later on that night and do the squats, and a couple other things as well that kind of contributed to me feeling ultimately like I finished a really, really solid workout after getting off of this camera with you guys. So if anybody was praying for energy for myself, thank you. The prayer worked for real. So that's what I can say. I went last night and I did a little bit of my meditative stuff. Tried to work on a playlist, but wasn't really able to get all that because my squat regimen took too long. And I looked up and it was already like 1:30 in the morning. I'm like, nah, I can't be undisciplined to that degree. So I was knocked out by 2. And it's 6:30 right now. I'm up. And I think this morning I had to really get into my deep prayer zone, because obviously with everything that's going on, you can definitely find yourself being negative. And so for me, it was like I woke up feeling the anxiety. I woke up feeling the fear. Woke up feeling the situation heavily, as if God wasn't present. And I immediately went into prayer. Like, nah, we're not going to start the day this way. That's not actually what represents how I'm feeling. It's not representing what my spirit wants to do. And that's a byproduct of the mind being uncomfortable with what's happening and uncertain about what's ahead. But I don't think that that's an unnatural feeling. But I also know that I have a new type of application of cure. And so I went straight to the spirit, told the Lord how thankful I am, prayed for all the homeless people, prayed for everybody who might be feeling the anxiousness I'm feeling, all the stuff that I try to do to incorporate that love web, prayer web thing that I'm talking about. And, I started to get the feeling that I should turn the camera after that. As soon as I went into the spirit, it was kind of like the feeling was just tell them how you're feeling. This is how you can heal yourself as well. You got a couple ways to do this. One of them is to pray to me. And a lot of times the Lord is likely going to turn me to what will work. If he wants me to get moving and do some things differently, get me up in the shower, give me some sunlight, I want to be open to those suggestions. But in this particular morning, the first thing he told me to do was just, grab the phone, follow your heart. That's the first thing he said. He said, trust your heart, follow your heart, or something of that energy. And then, grab the phone, basically just kind of went naturally with me. So, I tell you guys, the most beautiful thing about what is going on here is just the overall comfort that my inner mind is giving me. And I've said this many times, but the more I listen to myself talk this way, the more encouraged I feel to know that I'm a person that can truly maneuver through the circumstances, believe, comfort myself, which is always takes precedent no matter what's going on, even now. So it's like, you get to the point where you wake up after that, well, rather before picking up the phone to turn it on, you turn on the phone and you see like 100 spam messages, even though you've asked all of the emails that you saw to unsubscribe you from their list, to no avail. Of course, it's like all spam in 2023. It comes in waves that don't even provide a positive to what it is that you're actually searching for. They flood you with so many emails that if you have an important email, you won't see it. It's that kind of stuff. So I'm really, really, really at a point where it was necessary that I turned to the spirit, because my phone provided me nothing but more of the same negative energy that ultimately I woke up with. So basically I was attacked this morning spiritually. And that's how you got to equate it. And as these therapy sessions go along, you see it equated that way. It doesn't mean that something actually attacked me. It just means that the spirit of negative energy came at me in multiple ways, and I had to combat it in multiple ways. And sometimes they're unnecessary ways for the psychology that I have, it seems. There's always some type of extra. And it seems to me that it's meant to attack people like me. But that might just be the selfishness and the self-centered nature of my mindset. Nevertheless, I do find that it ruptures my presence of peace, and it's then required for me to find that peace elsewhere. I think for me, I wake up this morning knowing that my anxiety has attacked me beyond the circumstances themselves. I've once again been given a reminder that my mental health is in need of some work, and that is also what I think can be the fruitful nature of this morning. To come to this camera and immediately tell you guys that no matter how positive I think, it still requires a great deal from within me, as well as the stability outside of my circumstance to make me, at peace, to be stable. It's not enough for me to be either. It's rather facing stresses of a real nature or just facing stresses of my own mind. It doesn't necessarily feel any different, which is why I would let my life get this bad. I'm telling you, I'm stressing more about how I feel than about what's going to happen. And that is just another reminder to me that I am indeed in need of something that I don't necessarily have. And so while I'm going to continue to apply all my positive thinking, and I'm going to continue to go forward in doing what I got to do to combat that, because I'm very committed to the positive energy that I'm given, I also understand that the Lord gave me a challenge, and it's not something that I necessarily get to live my life without feeling until things are addressed in that way. And so I think that's, I guess, another self-awareness wake-up call, so to speak, to say, when you wake up in the morning and you feel like this, that is too something that needs to be addressed by a therapist in an updated manner. Meaning, if you talk to a therapist not too long ago, and then you wake up and you feel like this is the time when my conditioning should have trained me to have already had that therapist and to have them on speed dial right now. So that's the world I want for myself. That's the world I want for those who need what I need, because it's something that helps me realize what I'm not doing versus what it is that people who are trying to be well will be doing, and to try to work that into my new way of living. So yeah, that's where my head is, man. Just understanding clearly that the stresses that I'm going through should naturally make a person nervous, should naturally make a person feel concerned, should naturally bring about a certain anxiousness. That's just the nature of my reality. But I feel these feelings when this ain't going on. And so for me, it's like that is something that I'm very thankful that I live in a world today where I'm not completely asked to ignore that feeling. Because as you guys know, when I was a child, that's exactly how this went. There was no help. And to a point, I didn't have the defenses at all. So I would just take this energy on, and a lot of times it would attack me so bad that I would have anxiety attacks. You know what I mean? And I've mentioned this a lot of times, probably when I was in elementary school, fourth grade, the beginning of fourth grade into third grade, I believe that was, something like that. And those attacks would hit me hard during a very short time in my life. And it's interesting that I reflect on that because it does speak to something being specifically different at a certain small period of time for my mental health that was severe, more so severe than any other time that I can reflect on. Why is that information important? Because it was the same type of small pattern of peaking mental thing that my sister also referred to that kind of happened to her around the same time that I also told you guys about in a therapy session or two ago. She said that she went through a small battle of what it is that I feel in isolation. During the same age she was, around that same time, I went through the height of my mental health concerns, as just said right now, where the anxieties were so bad that I was being attacked to no end, and I couldn't control my emotions or what was coming out of my mouth or how I felt. I remember running into the principal's office one time at school and telling him I was terrified that my mother was not well. Something was wrong with her. It just come to me for no reason. I remember I was at Children's Club not too long after that. Did the same thing. Like it was severe, and it was just no help to even be thought of for the child who I was. It was no thought to maybe like this person's going to need something the rest of us don't need, and let's try to see if he gets it. All of that just did not manifest until it was well past my adulthood. And so, we're in this space now where we're finally understanding, this is how this should have been handled. This is what needs to happen now. And it's okay to not ever view these feelings the same way anymore. And that's what I want to encourage everybody to open their heart to. If you've been struggling with something mentally, but you haven't necessarily taken a chance to get diagnosed or didn't get a chance at all to just try to see what the heck is going on in your own self, just know that is too something I've dealt with for a very long time. And solutions for my mental health are something that I not only welcome into my life, but actually want to know more about so that I can share more about it with you. So that's really what it is. I'm in a space where I've been dealing with this a certain way for so long, to now it's like I have a brand new way of handling it, and this is my day 3 or day 4 of handling it this way. That's how I see it. I'm finally ready to say, God, you are absolutely first, second, and third, because if you're not, otherwise it doesn't work for me, for a multitude of reasons, but definitely during my most stressful and most anxious experiences in life. You provide me all that I need, and not only discovering that I want help, but also put me in a position to not forget it while I haven't yet to receive it. So that's what I think was the blessing of this morning. He let my anxiety hit me just well enough to remind me that what has happened here is a product of that. And until I address that, he's not going to be just satisfied with getting me out of this apartment. He needs me also to undo what put me in a position to be isolated in it. And that's what really, I feel, kind of stemmed the anxiety that I had this morning in a way, was just understanding that I still have not gotten that diagnosis, and because of it, no one really can prove that I'm as sick as I am, except for what it is I have on this camera, which is so many hours of conversation, and nobody has time to vet through it to figure that out. It's not like anybody's condensing pieces of this thing to kind of get an overall summary of my psychology. You got 300 basically plus hours of data to draw from. But at the same time, somebody has to actually, really care about that. And I have to be in a position to say, yo, I'm here. This is what I've been going through. And so I'm trying to get to that space. I want to get to that reality where I'm able to finally sit in front of somebody and they can tell me what it is I'm dealing with. And then I can apply for my disability, for which I think I really, really could use. Need is not a word I want to use anymore, because that would speak to me not being able to do what may have to be done. And that's not the truth. That's not where we're at. I'm ready to do what has to be done, including sitting in a space that ain't so anti-anxiety, if necessary. If it will bring me the lesson that the Lord wants me to learn to propel me to my very best self, I'll sit in the anxious space for a little while. But I won't do it without speaking against it. I won't do it without understanding that other things need to be done while I'm distracted by those feelings. And I won't do it without thinking that the Lord truly does want me to find a way to win this battle. And it ain't about me just having the battle and suffering it, but using those sufferings to motivate anyone to understand what I'm going through, and then from there maybe help themselves to the help that may be available to them if necessary, or to someone they love. Become more prayerful so that some more of these prayers can start reverberating across, and maybe we can have a little more favor in this world and give people who don't pray a reason to want to do so. These are things that these therapy sessions have ultimately done. It's put me in a position to be someone who asked the world, who suggests to the world to return to a place of love and peace and understanding. And then I tell people how I struggle with that myself, and not quite being where I need to be to undo some of those cultures that would ultimately make me not the best version of myself. Some of the old ideologies and things that come with just being raised in the time I was, in the area I was, etc., by the people I was. Just gives you a certain way forward that I just want to vet a lot of as it pertains to how I treat people or how I view myself, etc. I just don't think that it allowed for me to grow up as comfortable as I wanted to be, when I consider that a lot of the stuff that we engage in doesn't have any compassion attached to it at all. So I take it too far at times because of how my brain is. I don't want to ask anybody for a single dollar because I'm so sensitive to people taking money from people and doing the wrong things and all of this. It's like I've taken it too far to where I end up hurting myself. I allow those ideals to keep me from success. I allow those ideals to keep me from reaching as many people as I can. So when I understand I've been attacked, I also understand what the duality, I think that's the right way to use it. I always say that word, but what also serves another purpose. It serves the purpose of many things when I have anxiety, and one of them is God's purpose, which is to help me learn what it is to do to heal and help others be looking for that healing or whatever, to help them to what it is that I find. But also what the enemy is trying to do with that anxiety is to try to keep me away from solutions and have me thinking about the problems more so than focusing, trying to get me into a space where I'm not as cognizant of how important my voice is when I speak and letting the negativity spew, as opposed to giving y'all some type of optimistic view, thus giving myself the same, which is necessary during these times when I listen to them. Like it's a lot of things that are being done. It's like if you go with God, you're going to get the results of what your problems can be in God's plan. But if you go away from God, you're going to still deal with your problems. You're just going to deal with your problems in the land of the enemy, and that's going to be an entirely different thing. So it's like your problems are still there. How do you want to deal with them? Do you want to go to something that works or not? And so for me, it's like this morning, that new application of thought, that new application of way to stop this anxiety just told me that I can always immediately look there. I don't have to go through all this over there with the enemy naturally, as I always have, only to say, man, I need to find God, because God is probably going to be a solution to this somehow, maybe. It's more so like, okay, this dude ain't even there, and this is how we handle this. You understand what I'm saying? So it gets to a point where it's like, that's how I'm training myself to deal with my problems. In the extreme nature of how I perceive things at time, I have to go to the positive side, or else I'm going to allow myself to think the worst of things over there, and nothing will be better. It will stay the way that it became when it became what it now is, because that's what I was doing. that's how I moved when my anxiety hit. Even though I was a believer in God, the application to God was much more foreign than it should have been. And so that's why I can come to you guys and say I'm listening to the Spirit and it's telling me how to move. And because it's telling me how to move, I'm finding what I didn't have before, aka the energy. If I wouldn't have turned on the camera and told y'all, yo, I need the energy, I want the energy, pray for the energy, I'm pretty certain I wouldn't have found myself doing those squats last night. Pretty damn certain. It was like 10:30 when I started. I was already ready to go to sleep, but my inner peace told me that this was something that would make me feel better and more accomplished, especially since he knew I was going to do my career high. So he was like, yo, get down there because I'm going to feed you a real meal. Like, I wasn't hungry. I made myself some oatmeal. He's like, I'm going to feed you, but what you're going to have to do is, work yourself into a space where you're actually hungry. That's really what it was. So it was like, because my body's doing what it's doing to where I don't want to eat, you got to take whatever it is that it think is in there in regards to energy, and you need to make it realize it's not there so it'll crave it. And that's exactly what happened. So that is what the Lord taught me last night. When you're going through that, especially if you're someone like myself who's active, when you're going through what you're going through in the worst of times, there's two things you got to remember. You got to take care of yourself, then you got to know what it takes to keep up the things that you've been doing before things got bad. What does it take for you? I think that relationship, but most importantly, it takes intent to remember that you have two paths to go when you're stressed. The way that's going to help you or the way that's not. As it pertains to your body, when it tells you you're not hungry, you got to work on your body to give it the truth. And so that's what I learned last night. I gave it the truth. Like, bro, you're tired physically more so than you should be because you haven't eaten. Your body ain't letting you eat. You got to make sure it knows that. Like, yo, yeah, you don't want to eat? Cool. That means we're full. All right, let's do some more work. Let's push. Oh, you're full, right? Okay, for sure. We're going to eat. We're going to eat later after we finish working ourselves and our bodies to a space where we've derived from all this food that you think is in this stomach. And so that's how I had to psych myself out as it pertains to my body. And it worked. After I finished my sets, I wasn't quite ready to eat yet, but I went down there in my little meditative space. I listened to a therapy session that gave me comfort. As soon as halfway point came from that therapy session, the stomach started to growl. I started to feel that feeling, time to eat, and I ate a whole meal like as if I didn't have any stresses. So that's how I cured myself of that in that moment. And it takes reapplications of that cure as we learn it. But that's really what this is about. I guess that's why you wanted me to turn on the camera so I can report that to you all. That's exactly how I fought that. Work out. Because if your body's full, that means it's ready to work off what's in it. If it ain't nothing in it, then it's going to want something in it after you finish working. So, yeah, that's how you psych that out, man. We're going to win these battles. We are going to win these battles as it pertains to our mental health while we don't have help, because that is also real. And that may be why the Lord hasn't let me get help just yet, because there may be a world where that help might not necessarily be there, and you may still have to be able to apply sanity to the situation. And in order to do that, you got to find ways of psyching yourself into what makes the most sense for not only your emotions, but for handling the situation as it comes by detail. And that's where I think the Lord is going to really help me, because for me, it doesn't start with handling the problem in the mind, then the mind. It starts with handling the mind and then the problem. And so as I understand that that's the formula for fixing myself, I just have to live that way until I get whatever help will be available to make it so that I don't have to. And I don't know that when I get to where I'm going in regards to help, that they won't tell me some variation of something like this anyway. So that's why I just got to apply what it is that I think makes sense. Reaffirmation of positive thinking and prayer, God, worship, and all of that submission will give me the belief that things don't have to go completely left. Even if it may look like it's completely left, you condition yourself for it. I have faith for if it does, I can then apply this same stress application method and make the best decisions for what it is that's in front of me there. And even if those situations are not favorable, I walk out into them with an application of how to manage the mind, as opposed to going out there stressed to no end with no spiritual energy attached and seeing what happens from there. And so this is just what I know up until the point of what I understood. Now, once you get out in the streets and things get crazy, then you start having to deal with your energy a different way. But as you do, you know how you're going to handle your paths. It's still the same fork in the road. You're going to do it with God, or you're going to do it with the wrong, opposite, obviously, with the point I was pointing, but you get what I'm saying. You can either go the route that doesn't have him involved in it, or you can go with the route that he's in and let him take you where he wants to take you. And I just asked him to work the conditioning of my mind. You want certain things beforehand. When God gets involved, what he can do is, even though he's taking you down a path that maybe didn't have your plan attached to it, he can make you feel better about that plan as he continues to have you walk it. So, for example, I wanted my life to go this way. I wanted more ass to happen. I wanted to pay off my bills. I wanted to walk out of here the richest man I could be and go on into the world, ready to push BDF in ways that would allow me to expedite the process of investing in self. That's what I wanted. I was going to pay off all my bills. I was going to help my family. I was going to help myself to a new life. Wasn't the way he wanted it to go. If you would have told me this was how it was going to go, I probably would have thought I was thinking different things. I would have told you I was thinking different things. As I projected forward to today, I would have said I want to die. I would have said I was drugged and smoking out weed. I would have told you I probably would have just been thinking some thoughts that wouldn't let this situation get better as it pertains to the apartment itself. I probably want to walk out of here, leaving everything here. Just a bunch of stuff that ain't sane. Calling people, asking them for money that I don't necessarily would, that I wouldn't call right now just to get as much money as possible. Everybody give me everything so I can have as much. Like, that is what I would likely be thinking if I didn't have the application of the Holy Spirit to give me not only the timing to discern what makes the most sense to my heart and mind, but also what makes the most sense to him, and how I should move to not run rampant with my anxious mind. See what I'm saying? Because for sure, if I don't let him in, this mind and these circumstances are going to run around trying to figure out every damn thing without actually giving myself a breather to say, is the decision maker itself on point when you're doing everything, rushing around trying to make all these decisions? Are you in a space where you will be able to identify a good decision when you see it? And man, that's when you were like me, it's like you can't be certain of that, especially if you're just gonna let your negative energy run wild. Nah, you're gonna do what you can that you're conditioned to do, which will preserve your temporary feeling, or rather protect you from that temporary feeling, thus keeping you vulnerable to not have any solutions. And so that is the conditioning of my mind. I always let things go by the wayside in fear of having to face them, and that's just not what is available to me with the time restraints that are on my situation. So it's like, if ever there was a time to just say no, other side of the circumstance, I'm gonna go with God on this, because really this is way out of my wheelhouse, and he's gonna have to condition me for whatever is ahead. And I don't want to find myself in a space where I don't have this application in place for that day. And that's also speaks to what I've already spoke to. Who were you when certain things happen? What were you doing leading up to those things? I'm applying the understanding that I got to do the right things leading up to whatever's next. So that's really an important part of what I'm saying here. It's like, I look back on how the court case situation went leading up to the court case, and how I was telling y'all all these different things about my energy not being right. It's understanding that this time, this go round, I don't have to be even tempted to do things the wrong way, because I just applied them both ways and found what worked between it. So it's like, again, I ain't gotta look over there. And when over there tries to come over here, I go straight over here and let God do what he does, pulling me to a space where he can use my energy to the best of what it is he chooses, because his energy upon my life will be most relevant, not what it is that I think I understand or see or can convey or whatever. And listening to the doubt of man as it pertains to my situation, there may be a lot of love attached to the doubt, but at the end of the day, they may not have applied what it is that I know I need to apply in order to think positively and get things done. They may be over there with my situation. You see what I'm saying? As they assess it, they don't have, this is not a normal thing. This is something that I'm teaching to people. So it's like, I got to teach the people, all of us, to have this in mind, so that when we address other people's feelings, we're not applying our doubt to their situation. And that's something I'm pretty sure I'm guilty of throughout the course of life. Where you're just looking at people's situation, you listen to them talk, you're like, all right, this is what you need to do. First of all, it's on you. You ain't got nothing. It's like, all right, hold up. That's my doubt speaking. That's how I would handle the situation, if not for the presence of God, who would then come to me in my darkest situation and show me why that ain't right for me when I go through it. So when you're not going through it, and you don't have the idea that I'm dealing with a hard time, so I know what the mindset of positivity will do for that. When you're a person who's used to going through hard times and knows what it takes, you're going to likely have a little more understanding of what the other person will need in those situations. So that's the empathy that I'm looking forward to receiving. I was able to read an old essay, actually about 4 or 5 old essays that I wrote in college. Going digging through old papers like you're going to do in situations like this, Tom Move. You got to find stuff. So for me, it was like I got to get my art into that container. I have one big, huge tub container. I got to get my art into it. That means what's in it got to come out of it. So that's what I did. I sorted through all that stuff, found my mother's letter, found these essays. And in the essays, I found I was writing up things that just were speaking to various. I guess my teacher was on some musical English writing stuff. Every essay that we wrote, and I had forgotten this, what was about some musical figure. I had wrote one essay about Pharrell and pointing out one of his specific songs and talking about how it related to me. I wrote an essay about Common, which I now remember that I actually wrote on his birthday and didn't realize it was his birthday when I had written it. And then I'd written another one about 9/11 and the correlation between Crazy Bones Thug Mentality album cover and the images that took place in 9/11 with the smoke and everybody running. They kind of mirrored one another, and I had bought that album the night before 9/11, so it was just like a prelude telling me what it was. And when 9/11 was happening in real time, I had that album next to my bed so I could look at the TV with the smoke on the screen, and I could look at the CD itself and see the exact same image, so to speak. So I was just understanding that at the time that was a good topic to write about when my teacher was asking me to add some musical artists to an essay. So the point is, looking back at those essays, I realized that I hadn't gone through certain things that would allow me to speak in a certain way that would allow people to receive what I'm saying in not a triggering way. Now, we've learned over the time, because I wrote those in like '08, we learned over time that certain words will trigger certain people and all of these different things, so to just not just throw every word out there. But now that I've gotten obviously grown in all these things have gone and transpired, when I read my essays, I found myself cringing every 3 sentences because I was so harsh. But it didn't seem harsh when I was writing it at all, because I had no sense of sensitivity, because I hadn't gone through certain things that would allow me to consider trigger words. This might be a little too colorful. This might not best describe how I would like people to see the situation I'm talking about now that I'm older. It's just a lot of stuff. I was using words. I was like, whoa, you didn't have no filter. Like, wow, but I think this comes down to me having gone through certain things. Now it's like, I know what it takes. I know what's going to trigger people, because when you go through certain things and you have triggers and then somebody ruptures those triggers, it really does send you into a space where you got to deal with that. And so it's like, that's what hard times or experiences of difficulty of the mind has taught me. It's like to have more of a filter as it pertains to what other people listen to. Even now, as I continue to grow, I discern that I don't like spewing negativity into this camera without some positivity, because it doesn't serve me any, and I'd imagine it does the same for nobody else. So it's like, older I get, the more relatable I can become to what is needed in regards to sensitivity from what comes from within myself. I speak, it can have reverberating effects on others and myself in one way or another. So to try to pick language that is not as colorful as to not understand that empathy necessary to apply. So that's something I was really, really cognizant of reading my old essays. Like, not only has the times changed as it pertains to how we want to communicate with one another, but also my sensitivity level has changed as it pertains to what I think people actually should be listening to in regards to reacting to certain things. Excuse me, that was necessary. Still is. But yeah, so just overall self-awareness, self-growth, understanding that there's levels to still get to reach the sensitivity, respect that I think would ultimately help describe everything that I'm feeling while not rupturing anybody else's mind. Obviously, everybody has different sensitivity levels, so there's no way they make that a perfect science. But I just feel like I'm in a different space energy-wise, to where certain words that I was describing in '08 when I was thinking whatever I was thinking, I would never think of those things in the way that I think of them now, while still conveying whatever point I wanted to make. It just wouldn't be said that way. So I respect that my voice is more important to me now, obviously, in the world that I'm in. And I'm glad that the Lord has helped me realize that there were levels of sensitivity and levels of relatability that I have yet to reach to help me be the best version of that communicative person. So for me, it's like, all right, where am I messing up there at this point? What levels have I yet to reach? I don't mean that self-doubt creeps in and makes you wonder if you have a good heart or intentions are right. No, it just means that you now realize you're on a climb as it pertains to that. And as you understand you're on a climb, that means there's levels to reach that you have yet to. So that's what that means to me. But anyway, what else would God want me to say? Excuse me, what else is in my heart? For the time being, I just look around and I just say, I really do want to get this right. I want to have my mind right, but I also don't want to lose sight of the unprecedented nature of what it is I'm faced with and the urgency necessary to address it. I think I got that part. I think God has helped me get that. As I turn to him, it's no, let's stay here and figure this out. Oh, we can wait a little while longer. Nah, it's like, do what you need to do to get your mind right. This here is me trying to do that. After I get off of here, I should be able to listen to this and then from there do things that I may not have been strong enough to do. And that's what encouragement has taught me as well. You get that encouragement for others. You get that encouragement from yourself. You get that encouragement from on high as you pray to your God. You will get the solutions necessary, not just the comfort as we talked about last night. You ain't going to just be able to block out the stuff and keep the peace in. Then you're going to be able to use that peace to make good decisions. And so that's where I'm at. I need to be better at communicating with people. I need to be better at organizing plans so that myself can be certain to where I'm going in certain situations going forward rather than just waiting for something to happen. And to condition myself to see this as being okay as it pertains to this is working the way it's supposed to. I did what the Lord told me to do. It went the way he wanted it to go. And as long as I stay on his path, he will continue to show me how pleased he is with me. And that's what it is. Last night, before I went to bed, when I was finally done with everything I was going to do with the music and all that, ate all my food, got into bed with prayer in my soul, so to speak. I had been in my meditative space, went back, carried that into the bed to go to sleep, all the way to sleep. And I stayed in that space. And the thing that came to me was just a whole lot of applause almost. I think that's what I felt. Like it was almost like the Lord was clapping because he felt like I had lived the day the right way. I think he was very pleased with me when I laid my head down. From the moment I woke up last night, all that happened throughout that day, to the moment I laid my head down, I think he said I did it the right way. He said I did it the right way. So it's like, if that's what comes to your heart when you're going through something like this, then you just have to take it for what it's worth and continue to apply what you've been doing so that you can continue to feel good about yourself. You know what I mean? That's what it is. I was proud of myself. At the end of the day, the Lord was proud of me. I was proud of me too because I addressed my problems. I met the match, so to speak. I met what was coming at me. I went outside and had that breakthrough, brought y'all the content that I could be proud of, positive. My sister called, got a chance to talk to her. Friends called, got a chance to talk to them. All these different things I applied for, etc. Maybe they worked out, maybe they didn't. The Lord told me to do a little art, found a way to do that. The Lord told me to, fight the urgency not to eat and not to work out, accomplish that. Put some things up on offer up to get this process rolling in regards to selling things, did that. Threw things away, did that. I mean, I managed to do so much, including fighting the desire to sleep in the daytime. Around 6 o'clock, I started feeling sleepy. Fought that. You know what I mean? It was just like everything I needed to do to be proud of myself and for God to be proud of me, I did it. And I did it with him. And a lot got done. In one single day, a whole lot got done. And I faced some adversities that probably would make me feel worse and handled them the right way too. And they didn't have any reverberating effects on how I laid my head down that night. So that's what I can say. I don't think I've ever lived a day like that where I felt like the moment I woke up, I gave my energy to God all day long, did exactly what he wanted me to do, and laid my head down with him expressing to me openly as ever with any thoughts that are in my head in regards to that he was extremely happy with how I handled my day. The words that came to me was, I was proud that I made you this day. This was one of them days you lived where I was very proud that I made you. And so that's what the Lord was giving me. And as I went to sleep, I slept well. I woke up anxious. But I woke up anxious with the understanding I'm going right back to the source for which to find the path to get things done and ultimately find myself proud and him proud too by the end of the night. You know what I mean? That's my goal, is to every night while I'm in this house to honor the fact that he gave me this place as in the form of a miracle. When I needed it the most, he came through and made this place available to me at the very, very last second. And so for me, it's like, I'm not going to leave this place doing anything but honoring that in regards to him. If he wants me out of here quickly, then I'm sure he will make it so that I have to get out of here quickly. If he wants me to live with other people, then that's just what it's going to be. If he wants me to continue on a path that I've been on, and it's, then I'm gonna be on that same path. But the point is, with all that I'm dealing with internally, at the end of the day, I just want to be able to end my day having done everything the right way, spiritually, handling business, etc. So I'm very, very thankful that he was allowing me to feel that last night, and I'm very thankful that because of it, I woke up this morning without as much as 5 seconds to give to my anxiety, without immediately coming to him and saying, let's get this started and let's continue on that path that makes you happy. So that's what this is. Me on this camera is me continuing that process of trying to meet his expectations on my day, and giving you guys the content that I know for a fact is what he wants to come out of my mouth. And it is what it is, man. I'm discovering what it is that my true word, my purpose is, what it is that he actually can do through me. Over these last 5 days, I'm starting to really understand the direct connection that he has to myself, as it pertains to what he allows me to hear and feel and convey to you guys from some other space than my mental health would allow me to feel. It's like it's coming from a third space. And so I believe it is. I believe it's the Spirit of God speaking directly to me for his purpose upon my life, because he knows that through what it is that I am, he can convey certain things through me that maybe he hasn't chosen to convey through others, from an angle that maybe others would not be able to speak this. You know what I mean? It's like maybe I can put this trait in somebody else, but they're not going to be you, so therefore they're not going to be talking to the people you're talking to. And so it's like everything is important to him in regards to just helping me use my voice responsibly for others. And so because I know he's doing that, I just continue to turn to him for that too. It makes it easier to make good decisions in regards to my spirit, because it's like if I don't, my voice isn't right. I don't provide what is best for people. I'm being insensitive and negative and defeatist, and that is the essence of the worst of the anxiety. That's basically what comes to me when the anxiousness is talking, is those types of energies. So they serve no purpose, and they won't be staying. So yeah, that's what I want to say, man. I woke up anxious, scared, all that other negative stuff, but you know what? I turned to God immediately. Ain't no question about where I'm gonna find solutions to that. So yeah, that's it, man. Now today, of course, the next thing I want to do is take some of the things that I thought I could not sell and put them on OfferUp. Some of the stuff that I thought that nobody would ever look at, like chalices and glasses and shot glasses and stuff like that. Stuff that I just assume won't get sold. I can sell that stuff for sure. Now that I look and see what everybody has on those apps, it's like they got stuff on there that's much worse condition than what I got. So it's like, let me just put anything on there and see what people want to do. Because I got stuff, and I would never have thought to sell that stuff. But now it's like, man, I be throwing stuff away without solutions that really help me. But I gotta find money, so obviously that's not an option. So let's see what can happen. So that's gonna be my goal for the day. Also, my homegirl Kay said she wants to come through, hang out. So I'll be chilling with her for the first time in a long time. I think if she decides to come through, if not, it'll be fine. Because to be honest with you, prayers have been prayed for that too. It really has. It's called breakaway energy. Anytime you're looking forward to something that may not be able to pan out for you, whether it be somebody showing up or a situation you want to work out in your favor. Obviously, this situation specifically, trying to get away from something you're attached to in some really unhealthy natures. The best thing that I've learned in regards to praying to God is something called breakaway energy that allow you to break away from what it is that you're attached to. And that's the prayer I've been praying in regards to my friend Kay, when I had that unhealthy type of mentality in regards to her earlier in the year and last year. That was what was missing, the application of a certain specific prayer that would otherwise combat that energy. And so I've been applying that to the situation there, to this apartment, to where it's okay that I don't have expectations of anything working out, and that the Holy Spirit can help me condition myself to be fine in regards to whether or not people come through or do it, whatever it is I need done in regards to seeing them, or in regards to this apartment. If it's ripped away from me, I'm not in some type of weird type of mindset that doesn't allow for me to move on or nothing like that. It's break away. You break away from that. And in your life, it might be something totally different. It might be a job or something. See, if I would have gone back into the past when I was going through what I was going through in that job, when I got the feeling I needed to quit the job, the prayer I would now have told myself to pray is you need to pray breakaway energy prayers. So that what it is you're attached to in regards to that job and the fears that you have for whatever it is that you're thinking can now be addressed on high. You break away from that now. You don't need that. No. You don't need that, and you don't have to be attached to that, and God doesn't want you to be attached to that, and this is how he's going to break you away from it. By literally breaking you away from it. So that's what I pray, breakaway energy. And so since I've started praying those prayers, it's become easier to be in spaces where things don't necessarily work out. You know, it's easy to be in spaces where people may have otherwise disappointed you. They didn't disappoint you. You needed to be conditioned for what it is that's real in regards to them, so that there was no disappointment to ever be found. That's a conditioning of the mind, no different than anything else, needs to be rewired. And so that's like, oh, okay, yeah, we can work on that too. Breakaway, boom. She doesn't show up. God had somewhere else for her to be. God wanted me to be where I'm at. It's not no tug of war. There's no reason for me to rupture my mind if for some reason people don't do what I need them to do. Because there's breakaway energy to protect me from those conditionings and get me back focused on what it is I got to do. And so it's like, these are things the Lord has been teaching me directly to tell to you, to apply to myself, and it works. So if you're trying to break away from a bad marriage, it's breakaway energy. If you're trying to break away relationship, break away from job, break away a place, break away from a state that you need to move out, or whatever country, breakaway energy is what worked for me. You got to pray the Lord help you break away from those things, and that's a repeated prayer that you apply, just like you apply any other prayer that you really need something for. You do it, and you do it as much as necessary. So these are the things that the Lord has been teaching me, man. It helps me deal with disappointment. It helps me deal with things not going my way. It helps me understand that my way ain't my way. It's God's way. And if I'm following his plan, I'll be cool. And that was another thing that came to me last night. The words God's plan. It's something that Kay often used when dealing with her circumstances in life. She applied to me to help me understand. You know, obviously Drake made the song. It's a real thing. When you're dealing in the plans of man, there are a lot of angles that are not being covered. Even the ones people who have a lot of power and a lot of visual to see, survey, or whatever it is that they are able to have power over, they still don't see all the angles necessary. They may be surprised by something that's coming their way. God won't have that problem. When he's judging or surveying or looking at us or being proud of us, he don't have that problem. It ain't nothing coming God's way that he ain't ready for immediately. So it's like, when you understand the trust necessary to apply to a higher power, you understand why that trust is so necessary. And if you can get past the fact that he's in this world we're living in, he's just like a pie in the stride dream. Maybe you believe in, maybe you're not, but he's definitely not somebody in front of you. When you think of him like that, it's easier to see him as maybe not somebody you should turn to right away. Or the idea that he's not real is more real to you based on you not seeing a physical presence in front of you. But once you apply the thought that he is real, or the truth that he is real to what you're doing, then you start to realize he's more real than the circumstances you're in. Applying that faith is more true than your doubt and your understanding of what it is you're looking at. That's the weird conundrum about faith. It's like, yeah, it's literally nothing here. But when you start to ignore the truth that is the matter that isn't present, and you start to believe the spirit that is the truth, which is in your heart, and you realize that it does have some truth attached to the actual things around you. The matter around you is actually affected by that for which is invisible. It's the spirit that put me in this room that is real to me right now. Prayers were prayed by people that love me. This place was searched out by people who cared about me and were worried about my situation, but applying faith in the Holy Spirit to help find solutions for me. That's how I found this place, because somebody was applying that love to my situation unselfishly. It's the very essence of what I now try to apply to my channel when I think about what words come out of my mouth. It's how I can help, not hurt. How the unselfishness bestowed upon me can be paid forward to the rest of us. Because that's what I owe for receiving. As a person who knows my purpose, I can't just be taking on the blessings of good of good fortune and not look to pay it back by way of showing others what it is that I've learned, or what it is that I am looking to try to share, or whatever. That's how I can pay that to you guys. So it makes me more deserving of being in a better space. It makes me more deserving of being saved from what I'm going through. And it makes me more deserving of the good energy that I ask for in regards to breaking away or whatever else. So that's what it comes. That's the teaching. That's what it is. Every day, we try to apply a way to make God happy and try to overcome these conditionings that are meant to pull us away from our focus and ultimately make us believe that the spirit should be something that you consider maybe if you have the strength to believe in something that is you cannot see, as opposed to immediately turning to your friend that you know got control over literally everything. And so that's what faith is. Once you get past that, oh my God, where are you? You're invisible. I can't see you, so therefore you don't exist mentality, then you can start applying him as fact and watch all the math start to add up. It's that he's invisible and you must believe in him. That's the bridge to that awakening. You got to be able to cross that faith bridge to say, I believe in a ghost. I believe in something that ain't there. I believe in something that ain't probably going to show up and save me physically, will only suggest in my head how to do what it is it would otherwise do if it were a person next to me. But you also understand that everything around you, if you apply that faith, can bring you some type of fruit in some way, whether it be what to do, what not to do, or whatever. Your mind will start to think as that spirit wants you to think. And that truth and that fact in your heart will allow you to move a certain way with it in mind. The empathy of it in mind, the anger of it in mind, what would make it happy in regards to who it loves in this world, which is everybody, and how you can keep from pissing it off, so to speak. These are the things that the Lord has helped me understand as I continue to turn to him for my own needs. You can open a whole new world of, as I call it, a web of love, so to speak, where you're praying and thinking for other people more so than you're thinking for yourself. And as a result, thinking about yourself rather, and as a result, you will receive what it is that the Lord really wants from you, what he really wants to do for you. And he'll help you wait more patiently while things are yet to manifest in that way. Instead of sitting here saying, where's the count? The countdown's killing my mindset. The countdown, you know how I am. Oh, I can't deal with it because it's so much. It's like, no, you can too address that the same way. You're in the countdown. Okay, let's talk about it. You know, we are in this space where I got only but this much time. Lord, help me control my mind so that I'm aligned with your time, because I want to walk on that bridge that makes it so that I automatically believe in you as the entity that is real, as opposed to that invisible entity that everybody's telling me, yeah, maybe I should believe in him. People saying, hey, we fight and we go to war because of him, and that's why we kill you. We want to burn crosses on the lawn. That's why, you know, we believe in God in that way. It's like there's all kind of negative energy that would keep me from walking across that bridge to believe in that invisible man. And I'm telling you, that bridge got so many different connections to it. You don't have to just walk that way. It got stairs, it got an elevator to go down and all the way up. It got some type of, it got so many different ways to God. If you just fathom the idea that something that you cannot physically see, but may be able to prove exists by way of the suggestions of timing as you pay attention to coincidences, as they suggest to you various different things to help you understand that that bridge is there and that God is real. So what I want to do is provide the bridge. When I go around showing y'all, look at the cat, I'm trying to show y'all the bridge. I'm trying to prove that bridge can be walked on. That invisible man, so to speak, is the missing variable in all of the different conundrums in this world. And the misunderstanding of what he truly would like us to do in regards to reverberating energy back on us that's positive versus what we often do within our cultures. That culture needs to be undone, like the wiring in my head that allows me to stay in this house right now. And a lot of people are not taught to undo the wiring that they should be undoing because they're too busy being suggested of other wiring that maybe isn't as important. And it's foggy, so we cannot see. But he made me. He made me this guy who can see, based on all of the different stuff that's going on here. And so I come to you and say, that bridge is real, that God is real, and he is the missing variable to every problem. And if you apply him to every problem, you're going to start seeing math come together in ways that not only address that problem, but also make other things make sense. You got to be on that bridge to get to that space of understanding and information, so to speak. You got to get on that bridge to say that invisible man is real. Let's get over here and talk to him so I can fix whatever it is that I'm trying to address. Because if I don't put him first and allow him to get into my mind, the other side it's going to take precedence and end up influencing the circumstances and realities of what comes from my intentions. My frustration will get the best of me. My anxieties or my vices or my lust, whatever, it will get the best of me. And ultimately, I will be further away from God, further away from crossing that bridge than necessary to see all of the angles in my life. So, application of prayer, faith, and belief. And so that I hope I conveyed that absolutely clearly. The trick to all of this is to believe in something that you cannot see. To go out on that limb, it is the essence of what is needed to be worthy of those secrets. You got to believe in something greater than yourself, even though you can't necessarily prove it to everybody. Otherwise, you ain't strong enough to go out on a limb to be able to receive all of that knowledge. You got to have that faith. It's what's required. It's the password. It's the key. It's the understanding that is lacking in the world around you. Is that you got to train yourself to believe in that invisible energy that you cannot possibly see. But if you go into believing in that energy, it will show you itself in more ways than you even care to see after a while. It's like, yo, God, you over there too? Yo, God, you over there too? Yo, God, like, how am I thinking of the spider compassionately while thinking of you? How am I thinking of all these different things instead of what comes to me naturally? Just because I now believe in the invisible man, now I got all these solutions to my own mental health struggles that I've been struggling with for 38 years. 38 years I couldn't manage my head. As soon as I found God, it was like, okay, we got this, and this to work with. It's like, how the heck did that happen? Where was all of this when I needed it? I believed in the invisible man, so to speak, but I did not have that love in my heart to apply faith to him naturally. As I was saying, it was something I thought about after I felt like I had to deal with everything myself. But when you deal with everything by yourself, and you don't involve that God, that invisible man, so to speak, you don't walk across that bridge, then you are dealing with the realities of the limited scope that you have. The realities within the limited scope that you have. I got my problems, I see my problems, and I need to fix them. Now I go out into the wide world, question mark on everything attached to everything. No knowledge of what happens once I do certain things after that. But I'm just going to go out there and get what I need. Run over here, God doesn't want you over there. You're doing stuff to try to get what you need. Go over here, God don't want you over there. But you're doing stuff to get what you need. And never did you want to turn to the energy that was in control of everything, because you didn't believe in walking across that bridge to say, I can apply faith to something I can't see. So because of it, you are walking blind. Look at how ironic that is. You now are walking blind because you're one step away from some uncertainty based on whatever it is that's out there. Now, it's always uncertainty. But if you believe in the invisible man, he's going to help you understand how not to be so uncertain in the presence of it. It's like, no, I don't know what's going to happen with what, but I know if I apply this type of compassion or this type of peace, or if I come in thinking this kind of way, then it improves my overall synopsis on life, and thus everything I do will be aligned with him. Even if it's time to go into the ruptured spaces, you're going to be able to rewire your mind to deal with it. See, it's not just about him blessing you with the best of circumstances. Nah, man, it's about you now being able to deal with whatever those circumstances are. When you don't go toward God, you're going to be doing all kinds of stuff. And once you go past one of those question mark boxes and you hit the wrong thing, boom, more trauma, boom, more negativity, boom, more reason to hate yourself, boom, more reason to hate other people, boom, more reason to stay away from that bridge. So your ambition is going to bring you toward places that are going to get you stuck. Eventually, one of them walls you're going to run into a wall eventually. Because one of them question marks, you're going to open up the door and it ain't going to be nothing but a drop. And so it's like, yo, when you believe in the invisible man, he got all the answers to all of that. He gonna be like, nah, you don't go to that place. That's a drop over there. Nah, you don't want to do that. That don't lead to nothing. Nah, that's a bad situation there. You ain't gonna want to go there. Nah, that's gonna lead to you being unhappy for 30 years. Stay away from that. You get those suggestions, you'll be like, nope, that's not for me. Nope, that's not for me. Or even so, you might be like, man, let me go over here anyway. Open up the door, drop. But you got God with you, so guess what he gonna do? He'll come through, save you, pull you back to where you need to be, dust you off, and get you back on the game. Or You have to face the worst of things, and he got you. He catch you, and you go where he wants you to be. But the point is, you'll be with him rather than wherever comes with the unknown variables that ultimately are controlled by the invisible man known as God. So get on that bridge, people. Believe in something that you cannot see or understand. It will open up a reason to not only believe, but then love so much other stuff that'll open up as well in your mind. That's what he does. He unlocks the mind. That's also something that he put in my heart last night before I went to sleep, when he was telling me how pleased he was with how I was living. He wants to now, as we go forward, unlock different parts of my mind and my spirit, third eye, so to speak. He wants to give me new levels of spirituality from here. That's what came to mind. It's almost like you reached a new level. Congratulations. That was also part of it, I think, as I think back. Congratulations, you reached a new level of faith and pleasure in the Lord's eyes, and now I want to unlock new parts of your mind. So I welcome that. I'm proud of that. I want him to do that, and I'm anxious to see what energies can come back from me from him choosing to do so, and what that can actually mean for the reality of my life as we go forward. How that's gonna equate to certain things. And yeah, man, everything else is just, letting the Lord align me with what needs to be done, and not allowing the anxiousness to come in as we live. With the anxiousness want to do what it do, I'll come right back on this camera and tell you how my day is going. I'll come to him, get in my little meditative space without any concern, because I know if I walk on that bridge, I'm gonna have an understanding of what to stay away from and what to go toward. And I'm gonna trust that understanding just like I trust that bridge, because once you have walked across that bridge of I'm gonna believe in something I can't prove, now it's much easier to listen to that voice, and then from there do the same as it pertains to everything else he's telling you to do. Or just the same, don't, if that's what comes naturally to you. In other words, he will lead you to being more thorough if that's what's needed. If you're the type of person that just picks things up like it's a random box, he will allow you to make assessed, calculated decisions. If you're a person that over-calculates, he will allow you to lean in on your faith and just go with what feels right. Whatever you need and are not having in regards to what's custom for you, he, again, as I've said in the previous video, will apply it to you for applying the faith that you did when you walked across that bridge to meet him. That bridge ain't got no bottom to it. You ever walk across one of those things and it looks, it's like and you're in a museum, if you maybe seen this online or something, where the floor itself is glass and you can see whatever's underneath, and it can be scary because depending on how much whatever's under there, it can make it feel like you're not safe, even though the glass is like, completely safe or whatever. You can walk across it, everybody walks across, it's fine, but they're going to be a good portion of people that are going to want to walk on the edge, not walk across it at all, because at the end of the day, the perception of it is that you could fall. It's scary enough even with the glass. That's kind of what I see in regards to trying to walk that bridge to go toward God. It's like you're going to have the faith to walk on that glass. All you can see underneath it is nothing, because it's going to look like there's nothing there at all. You don't even see the glass. There's no glass. You just got to walk off of that cliff and trust that your steps are going to land on something you cannot see. It's that faith and belief that will unlock the trust necessary to apply him to circumstances. It gives you the way to do so. That's what I'm trying to tell people. It's like once you've done that, then you know that you can do it in other areas. Now you can trust that voice, since you met that voice, or you walked across that invisible floor and you got to that invisible man, and you see him for real. You see what he wants to do. He's showing you all that he's working on after you get over there, and this is why it was important that you applied faith to get to him. He made it that way on purpose. He wanted you to believe in something you couldn't see in a world full of proof and matter and people going after it and everybody showing everybody what it is they're worth. In the world full of show me proof energy, the Lord wants you to apply that I can't prove it, but I'm just going to believe because of the love in my heart and just the trust. Just trust something, just blind trust God. He needs us to blindly trust him. And at that point, once you've done that, then he could work with you. Then he can start showing you how to apply that in other ways, etc. as I already said. So I'm trying to embed that in all of us so that we know what's necessary for us to get to where we're going to receive the peace that I've been talking about all this time. To stay away from the negative thoughts that ultimately make us worse and make us worse for others. It's letting him in. It's crossing that bridge. It's meeting that invisible man and letting him guide you toward the truth. All the different truths of your life so that you're not one step away from something terrible without any type of defense against from. So, man, I hope that in speaking in circles 3 or 4 ways, I hope that really worked in regards to helping people understand what it is the Lord is teaching me about him. You better learn that combination and walk across that bridge, because that is what's going to save you from all the other unknowns. So, yeah, that's what it is, man. I'm walking across that bridge. I'm giving the Lord my whole life from here on out if I can. There's going to be a lot of conditions that hurt because I'm so used to, living a certain way that it ain't easy for me to just turn to God like this. But at the end of the day, when you start to understand why it's necessary, you should. You step away from him for even 5 minutes and the enemy is working very hard to make you forget that bridge exists, that make you feel like that invisible man is not there, and that everybody who's talking about him is a damn liar, and all kinds of other stuff that ultimately is about the opposite of really being certain of how to be okay. You understand what I'm saying? Certain of how to be okay. You can't be certain of everything else, but you can best believe that invisible man can help your conditioning of your mind and make you okay with what you're dealing with, to help you be positive and meet the matter at hand with the best possible approach. That's what he can do for all of us. He can change the situation too, but maybe maybe he got other prayers that make it so that he can't necessarily move you without rupturing other prayers that maybe just need to be taken care of at this time. So you got to stay and wait until he can move other things around so that he can give you what you need. But if you ain't crossed that bridge to apply that faith, you're not going to know that he's coming. That's the essence of the AMC thing that I'm in. It's like I'm sitting there waiting for Moaz. It never came. It's like you get to this point and it's like, forget it. I don't believe in it. It's nothing. No, I ain't there. That's not it, because I applied faith to it initially. So he already told me he can go different ways, and that it didn't go my way. Now he's conditioning for me to understand how to live with that rather than to be defeatist in what it is we were doing. If I don't cross that bridge into faith, there is really no path to that understanding at all. It's none. When you really consider it. It's just something I've been waiting on. It never happened. My life went to crap while waiting on it. It still ain't happened. There's no reason for me to think that this is going to work out in any way other than to say I've been stupid the whole time and I ain't learned my lesson. But that's not the reality of it. The reality of it is it was applied faith that brought me to it in the first place. And there were signs that showed me I was in the right place throughout the process. So that it ain't playing out the way I wanted it to ain't a reflection of God's will not being in place. It's a reflection of me not being close to God's will. Now that I've crossed that bridge, I understand that I'm still on path with his will. This is still going the way it's supposed to. This is not a reaction to him being unhappy with me. Things not working out. It's a reaction to me doing things in a way that he didn't want me to do them. This is still on par with his plan. And because I understand that, I know I don't have to give up on AMC. I know that this is not a direct correlation between it not being right for what it is that we're doing. That's still right. My life is going a specific way. I'm an ape who's living a specific life. There's many apes living their specific lives, and I'm willing to bet all of them, if they have a relationship with God, the God that I serve, he's kept them in this play. I'm willing to bet that all them people still got their shares no matter what they've been through. And some of them have gone through things much worse than me, but they have something represented in what it is that they're doing because the Lord put it in their heart to do it, because this is a movement that he is very much in. And that's what I want all the hedgies who follow me to know. Like all this spiritual stuff I've been doing, you got to understand, he brought me directly directly across from you, opposing what you're doing here. So everything in my spirit that's telling me to lean in on him is also telling me to stay on the other side of what we're doing here, because this is his will. And I say that with a lot of confidence. This ape movement is a divine movement that's going to change the world forever. And the path I'm on is not a derailing from that at all. The faith crossing that bridge helped me understand that. And it was that I crossed that bridge at any point in my life that allowed me to believe that. And whatever comes of that in regards to good, whatever comes of that in regards to the big change that comes from us ape being moved, you got to understand that my position in this was all God. All of it. The whole thing, the entire way. Even if I was doing things the wrong way, the initial motivation and the ultimate point that I was standing on obedience to the higher power, the invisible man on the other side of the bridge. So I want people to understand. That doesn't mean it has to pan out the way I want it to. It just means that it's still a part of God's plan. And because I'm in tune with him, I know it. And he gives me the confidence to tell all of y'all, we are not giving up. This is not over. They have not covered. And so that's what God put in my heart to say to you right now. They ain't covered. We ain't done. This is definitely something he wants in regards to myself, and it's definitely something he wants in regards to the people. He doesn't want what we're doing to be in vain no more than he wants us to not believe that bridge can be crossed. I'm telling y'all, you put that in my spirit right here. So I just want people to know that what I'm doing is still very much a part of what I'm doing, what he wants me to do. I may not be necessarily in a space where I'm handling it in a thriving way, but that's just because I can't see what's behind that next question mark. And the Lord is suggesting me certain things so I know where to turn as it pertains to following him. And so as I follow him, I just look for another way to turn. Where am we going now, God? What's the next move? What is the next thing to say? What is the next thing to do? And I guess the answer is to pray. Heavenly Father, I just ask for everybody, all the apes out there specifically, not only apes in AMC, but literal chimpanzees and apes, all of them, are met with what is necessary to meet their day. May whatever it is they're dealing with, whether it be them trying to get more ass or a bunch of bananas, may it be something that's blessed. And there's something that comes to mind, parallels that have nothing to do with nothing but just the same. Because we're saying the word ape, we can say it. I would like better quality quarters for entrapped animals. I would like that. I would like us to open the zoos up to be a bit more free. You can still have zoos, but they can't be as restrictive as they are. That is definitely something he's giving me to tell you guys. Stop torturing the animals with your own intentions to amuse yourself and your children. It's not good energy. They're suffering in there. Yeah, for real. So I just want people to know that we grew up in a world and a culture where we let animals stay in slavery. And while I think the animals have been conditioned in such a way to love us enough to just stay in that space, I think there's a way to apply compassion. And once you cross that bridge, you can start to understand that he really does want us to do things a little differently as it pertains to how we handle the non-human lives around us. Their lives. Animals, plants, all that stuff, their lives, including even the weed we smoke, their lives. I want people to think about that too. Weed is a living thing. It grows, just like a weed, just like anything else. It lives. And so as we continue to process that, all the vegetables, fruit, living energies, living entities, until we cut them down and feed ourselves with them. These are all things given to us by the invisible man. I don't think that the animals that are meant to be eaten, I don't think that there's a perfect solution to their suffering as it pertains to, they got to be on our plate. So therefore, I just think that at the end of the day, the Lord will continue to help us understand that a lot of the stuff that we consume that we think is right in culture, it's not meant for our consumption. It's not actually meant to be put in our bodies. Some of the meats and stuff that we eat, we ain't supposed to be eating that stuff no more than we eat some of the other, we don't eat some of the other things that we don't have in our culture to eat. In our culture, we don't eat horses. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that the Lord is mad at us for eating chicken or beef and all that, but I don't know that we're not healthier for not putting that stuff in our body. If we're not healthier for allowing them to live. And that's what I've come to understand as I learn all this processed food, all this different stuff I've been fed all my life, what ultimately led to my mind not necessarily being as healthy mentally and seeing myself in the mirror and not being healthy. I just think about all the stuff I eat. All the meat I ate. All the eggs and cheese, all the stuff that should have been either the animal's essence or something that should have been feeding the animal's children. Eating all of that stuff. And as I've gotten older, my body's rejected it one by one. I can't have milk, I can't have eggs, I can't have certain types of meat. It's like my body's rejecting all the stuff that ethically I should not be able to eat. And as a result, I'm able to eat properly and get in the best shape of my life. All my life I've had trouble with my diet because I was non-disciplined. I grew up in a non-disciplined household as it pertains to eating, in my opinion. My mom would tell you otherwise, but we didn't eat like we should have been eating to be as healthy as we needed to be growing up at all. Maybe that was just because we just had to do it that way. That's fine. But what I'm saying is now I'm in a different space. I look back and my body was suffering all of the ills of eating those foods. just like the animals suffered to assure that I was able to. And so it's like if that stuff didn't do nothing good for me, and now that I barely have any meat at all, I'm healthier than I've ever been, I'm handling my problems a little better, I'm going to God a little sooner. And then I flash back to the little spider moment that I was telling y'all about in that previous therapy session where the spider came around, the Lord put it in my heart to consider its circumstances and position and perspective. When I start thinking about that and the correlation between the two, it's like, yo, a lot of the stuff that makes us sick are the things he would otherwise rather us not do in the first place. Animals getting slaughtered for us to eat, then we eat that stuff, we don't live as long. It's like, yo, you don't see the correlation? It's the karma itself. Nah, that burger ain't no good for you. That animal suffered so you could eat it. So damn right it's going to clog your arteries, it's going to kill you. That's its revenge. So it's like, oh, when you start realizing this, you start thinking that, it's like, yo, maybe I should try to limit my meat intake. I do like meat. God knows I like meat. And I don't think he put me on earth to go to hell because I eat meat. But it does have a negative reverberating effect on the body. You pay for it. And so it's like, yo, I don't know if going vegetarian is the right way. I wasn't raised vegetarian. I don't like eating vegetarian. I don't prefer it. But I know my body's healthier when I do. And I don't think that's just a cause and effect. I think that has something to do with the invisible man and his love for the animals themselves. And so that's what I wanted to bring you guys, man. I'm not saying you got to go PETA. I wasn't raised that way. I like steak. Trust me, if it was a steak in front of me, you see me eating it. But I know when I open my heart to what it is that he wants me to say and think, I know that if I eat the steak I want to eat every day, I ain't going to live to see 70. That's the point. It's like everything that you want ain't good for you. That's why you need that bridge to help you understand that. But God don't want you on that path. You can't be on that path. That's going to lead to your death. But everything on that path is going to be catered to your specific luring energy. You're going to want those things. And they're going to be the very things that's going to be your undoing. I don't know how much time I have left on this camera. I'm pretty sure it's about to end at any moment. I know that. But I just want to let people to know that I got plenty left to say. And we're just going to ride out with God. It'll probably cut off abruptly or something like that. But that's what's in my heart, I think. I'm just got to let him in and let him guide you away from different cultures that are seen as normal that ultimately he doesn't appreciate. And different things that we ultimately do that we think he's cool with that he really would rather us just not do. And if we could just get a little closer to him, he would tell us that immediately. So I feel like he's giving me those things to share with you guys in some ways, not limited to what it is that he wants to do, because I'm sure he has more that he ain't telling me. But these are the things that he's telling me. You know, we need to fathom how we treat these animals. We need to think about that. We need to understand the energy passing forth, back and forth. It's like cause and effect karma. You got to apply it to different things that you're not thinking about. These cultures that we have will teach you not to even think about. You know, give it compassion a little thought. Give that God a little thought. Think about the prayers that he's receiving in regards to various things that might be grieving, because you and your choices. So that's what I want to say, man. Anyway, make sure those choices are good and go to God for them, and you'll be fine. That's what I know. He'll put you in a position to have what it is that's meant for you, and then you won't have any negative energy on your heart or your spirit or even on your body. I'm in a space where I've eaten a lot of meat, just the same. I ain't, you know what I mean? And I'm in a space now where I can say what I said. So it's not like he struck me dead for eating meat. It's just understanding that you wake up and apply your compassion to the moment you're in. Just like I said last night in regard to that spider, or the night before rather. You just apply the compassion to the time you're in. You ain't gonna beat yourself up for eating all the meat now that you realize God wasn't so pleased with that. You just maybe try to cut back on your meat intake and pray about it before you do. You know, or if you're one of those people in immediate positions of power, if you have the power to do something about it and do something about it on high, see to it that we're not eating meat that's being destroyed by in some messed up ways. You know, make sure that there's humanity attached to what it is that you're doing, I guess is what I'll say. If you have the ability to change the processes of the way we do things, then walk across that bridge, find out what he wants you to do, and make those changes. So I think that's where I'll leave the video, man. I talk to everybody, people on high and the homeless people. I pray for you all, because you're all human beings. You all got something coming at you, and he wants to help you do it. So as I apply my faith, he gives me everybody to pray for. The rich, poor, the gay, the straight, everybody, man. We all need compassion. We all need to cross that bridge. We all need him to tell us what is best for us in the end. And I know if you keep him close, he'll keep you from being over here with that stuff over there, that energy that ain't no good. He'll keep you out of that, and he will make it so that it's so much easier to turn to him immediately. And that's what I've done here. I turned to him immediately. He gave me all of this to say to you, and I'm pretty sure it's going to do what it always does for me, which is make me feel that much better about where we're headed. That's the purpose of a therapy session. If I didn't do it that way, I probably either did it wrong or really, really needed to just vent out some negativity and probably ain't even listen to it myself. So I just tell people what it is, man. That's what's going on. I want to ask everybody to follow me on Apple Music because I love my playlist curation project. It's one of the most important things in my life, and I really want people to know that BDF is one of the best playlist curators in the entire world. And the Lord put that on my heart to say too, because He wants y'all to know that. I want y'all to know that. So it is what it is, man. He put a lot of stuff inside of me. Not just the ability to talk to Lakers, not just the ability to preach. There's a lot of talent that I've yet to discover, open up, and I think He's going to help me figure that out. And I'm going to really display to people what it is that I have in my heart while I'm alive to do so. And when it's time to go, you best believe I'm going to be right next to the dude that's on that invisible bridge. I'm walking across that bridge when it's over. That's what I'm telling y'all, and I'm going to take whatever I deserve, whether it's heaven or the other side. Because at the end of the day, I'm trying to make Him as happy with me as He was last night. BDF 44, I thank you all for watching.